first video interview, and I wanted to bring Mark Rogers. I met Mark Rogers a few years ago. Was it the Jasa retreat or Paleo FX?
I, I think you were on my podcast before we ever met because I heard you were going to be at the Joss retreat, and I think you came on before. I think the Joss retreat is what brought us together, and then ultimately what brought me and Dave together, which is the
Exactly.
real.
That was the important part. Yeah, the twins.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Mark
My
Rogers.
tall twin.
Yeah, Mark Rogers is Dave's tall twin. He really got us thinking about sleeping. I've always guarded my sleep. I've always slept 8 to 9 hours. I've always napped whenever I wanted. But his presentation really made me realize a lot of the stuff I was doing that was messing up my sleep. So it wasn't necessarily getting 8 hours of sleep and then call it a day and you're getting good sleep quality. He brought up a lot of things that a lot of people are doing on a daily basis that is actually messing up everybody's sleep cycle. And I came back from the second Jasa retreat and we implemented a lot of it. We changed the light bulbs. We got rid of all the light bulbs, changed them into red light bulbs so it looks kind of like fire. We started wearing the glasses, dimmed down the TV, quit looking at our phones, and it made a huge difference. Blacked out our room. So I wanted Mark to come in and talk about sleep, but not just sleep, getting sleep as a busy parent. Because when Dave and I tell our clients to sleep, they kind of roll their eyes because we don't have kids. So if we want to sleep in until 10 a.m., we totally can. If we want to nap for 2 hours because we didn't sleep the night before, we can. So we don't have
You go
kids
to a
running
movie. You
around.
go to a movie whenever you want. You just go to just pick a movie. Hey, we'll go. Let's go to the movie. It's in 5 minutes. We'll go. Yeah. It's a lot.
So I wanted to bring Mark, and Jen's not here, but his awesome wife. They have 3 kids, and they are raising healthy, beautiful kids. And I wanted him to talk about sleep and things you could do as a parent that you can actually start doing now. You don't need more time in the day. You can just start doing these things. They're very, very simple. So Mark, I'll hand it to
Yes.
you.
Cool. So I showed you all this earlier. So this is proof. I guess it's not proof that I have kids.
You could have drawn that right now.
So The Office.
Oh,
My son did that. He's 2, and he just ripped. I've had this for a long time. He just ripped his head off. So yeah. So having kids, I've got my first week of school. My daughters are in 2nd grade and kindergarten, and then my son is 2, going to be 3 in October. And so what we'll do is and we talked about this earlier. You can really science nerd out on the sleep stuff, which I can, and I'm really into all that. But the whole idea, so Simply Human, simplyhumanlifestyle.com, Simply Human podcast, that's my little health and wellness consulting company. And the idea behind that is you don't need to know the science. You don't need to know what a calorie is. You don't need to know, okay, this food combined with this and weighing and, okay, it's this, it's this time of day. Oh, it's 9 o'clock, I need to eat. We've overcomplicated stuff. You don't need to know what the science behind it. You just need to know what works and then do that. Okay, so and how things were designed to work. Why is walking so good for you? Honestly, who cares, right? We walk as a species. We are designed to walk. So walking, it's not just about burning calories, or it's not just about not sitting. There's just so many things why walking is good, and so that's kind of where we'll start with the sleep stuff. So we're going to talk about, kind of give my little spiel about if we were out in nature, how we are designed to sleep. It's like this. Okay, so if we were out in the woods, Dave and I camping alone out in the wilderness, which may happen. I don't know. So the sun is at the top part of the sky. There's blue sky and it's super bright. Okay, light is measured in what's called lux, Lux, and at the brightest day of no clouds, just the brightest it can get, on the equator, we're talking 100,000 lux. I mean, it's a lot of lux. And the brightest moon that you'll ever have, when the moon looks like it's about to crash into the earth and it's the brightest you've ever seen it, that is like half of a lux, right? I mean, it's that is a huge variation of brightness, okay? So it goes from that super bright lux, and it takes a long time for that brightness to come down, right? It's not just you go over and the sun just explodes. If that happened, I guess we would all be dead. But like there's this process where two things happen to the light. It gets dimmer, right? So that lux meter starts to slowly go down, and then the colors change, right? So we've got white, blue light as I'm recording this. It's 2 in the afternoon here. It's just light is flooding through the windows. It's so bright. When the sun starts to go down, colors change to like the color of my face in this picture, right? We got like orange, red, purple. Think about the most beautiful sunsets. So there's two inputs that your eye reads and then sends a signal to your brain. When that transition starts to happen, is that okay? It is time to start sleeping. So there's this cascade of things that starts to happen when your brain starts to pick up these signals. And it's not just about melatonin. I mean, melatonin is important. That's a part of it. But there's like a bajillion other things that either start happening or stop happening when we start to get these signals. And it takes a long time. I mean, as the design, it's like this long process, right? So if we were out camping it's in the middle of the day and we're out, okay, well, the sun starts to go down, the lights dim, and they start to change color. The sleep process starts. The awake hormones stop secreting, and the melatonin things happen in your brain, and there's other things that happen with your cardiovascular system. Your body temperature starts to drop. All sorts of crazy things start to happen. So when the sun goes down and the moon is out, and you might have a fire going, which is what color? Right? Orange, which kind of feeds into the same, it's not disrupting any of these signals. You get really sleepy. I know anytime I go like camping or something and I'm out and I'm getting this sort of natural light change. I mean, you feel like you're almost drugged by like, you're like, it's only 8 o'clock. How am I so tired all of a sudden? And you go to sleep. Then you sleep all night. It's very dark. And then gradually you wake up and the opposite happens. The light changes colors and it starts to brighten up the opposite way, right? So that's like the design. And I'm really like fascinated by the whole circadian rhythm, which means about a day, as far as like how you break out the prefix and the suffix, whatever. So it's about a day. And we are designed, the human body is designed for cycles, right? And it's really interesting. This book is from 1971, right? So this stuff isn't new. Right? It's called Your Body Clock. This is back in 1971, like people started traveling internationally. Jet lag like wasn't a thing before then, you know? Like now jet lag, there's all these like processes in place to like deal with jet lag. Well, they didn't, 1960s, like there wasn't jet lag, right? So it's interesting. So there's an 11-year sun rotation, okay? Which is kind of interesting. I never knew that before I read this. The Earth, obviously, at 365 days. The Moon has about a 27 in change day cycle. Then there's the day and night 24-hour cycle. There's the moon, the tides, which is like 12 and a half hours. So there's all these cycles, all the way down to like the molecular level. There's like second and millisecond cycles of things. And think about like music and poetry. You know, like a song that you like. It always goes back to, my mama don't like you, and you're not good everything, right? There's like this chord, and there's this cycle, right? So like our brains are just designed. I think that's fascinating about that. So if you mess with that cycle, you disrupt the cycle, stuff just starts to go haywire, right? So that's the design. So what I always like to say is, like, in all the aspects of the 4 pillars of the Simple Human Lifestyle, eating, sleeping, moving, and managing stress or enjoying life in ways humans were designed, there's like 2 things that you can do within each of those pillars to be the healthiest version of yourself. You can either strip away all the civilization and modernity that has been added to it, like in the nutrition, for instance, stop eating fast food, or remove the things that humans created, right? Or you can manipulate the whatever it is to kind of mimic the design. It's like your hand's design is like this. It's like it's designed to pick stuff up and to punch and karate chop, right? So if you were to put like a mitten on, the design of your hand wouldn't like function. You could like pick stuff up, but it wouldn't be as you wouldn't be at your hand potential, right? So it's like all these things that we've added, modernity and civilization and all that, is kind of like the glove on the design, right? So you can either remove the glove or you can manipulate the glove to make it like more like you could like put a sticky stuff on it, or like make it real tight around your hand, things like that. So because like to just remove the glove completely is like moving out into going to like Jackson Hole, Wyoming, out in the wilderness, and like not having a phone. You definitely wouldn't be watching this online, right? So that's not really realistic for most people. So how can we either, what can we remove, and then what can we manipulate and kind of change, sort of hack, to get back more of that design? You mentioned some of this stuff earlier. So I'll tell you, in our household, and this is what we've been doing for, gosh, 3-4 years now, we will, we cut off all like technology and artificial light as you think of it in the color and the brightness after the sun goes down. So I know, it's like especially for parents who have kids, and especially if the kids are older and you're having to transition to this, it's like, nah, I'm not. There's no way I'm doing that. My kids would never go for that. This is impossible. So there may be some steps you have to take, kind of transition into this. But I'll just say, like, this is what we do. So like we have some really cool lights, and there's an app. This is a phone. It's an app on the phone, and it's called Lightify. And I'll send Lucy. I'll like text you like so you can put it with the notes or whatever. But we have 6 light bulbs that are strategically placed in our house. One's in the kitchen, like over the island. One's in the living room. We got one in each of the kids' bedrooms. One in my room, in our room, and there's one in the playroom. And you can automatically set them, or just go in and manually set them to dim and change color. Right? So you make them super dim, and you make them like orange. Another thing you can do is go to like Lowe's or I don't know, Walmart or something, where they have like the decorative lights, and get like the orange or the red lights, change the color. So we have like really dim lights. We can go in and like adjust them, or just have them set up at at 7:30 every night. They're just going to automatically all dim. And these are lights that aren't part of our like we don't have these on all day. These are just at night. Like we don't have the island kitchen light on during dinner time. We have like the big lights on, right? So it's not like, I was talking to Evan Brand about this. Mm-hmm. He was like so confused, like, well, so what do you do during the day? And once we figured out, okay, these are lights that we just turn on, like the lamps and stuff that are just on at night. And so that helps with the light stuff. So another part, like people will like change the color, but they won't change the dimness, or they'll do so like I'll talk about the glasses in a second. So the kid, then most nights I will like fall asleep or get super tired, like putting the kids to bed, because it's such like a calming. I mean, think about it. You go into like a spa to get like a massage. What's the ambiance? Yes, right? It's like, it's like low. You got the candles, right? I mean, it's like, and that's like it's supposed to calm you. I mean, we all inherently know this. So like if the girls or boy, I guess, if they wake up in the middle of the night, we don't turn all the lights on. Like it's we want to keep the artificial light like off. No like technology, no iPad, phones, TV, all that is off after like dinner time, after the sun goes down. And they get great sleep. I mean, do they get up in the night sometimes? Yeah. I mean, they're kids. They're going to but it's like just and so let's talk about newborn babies really quick.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up the story with Jen.
Yeah, so, there's so many stories. Make sure I tell the right one. Well, it's just, with newborns, you think, okay, mom is up, say, nursing the baby or feeding the baby every 3 hours or whatever. Well, mom is thinking, okay, I'm not getting good sleep anyway, so I'm turning all the lights on, I'm looking at my phone, I'm going to watch TV until the next, crying phase happens, and it's time to feed. Well, babies don't secrete their own melatonin, and there's a lot of other things that babies like don't inherently have. Like, remember, it's not just about melatonin. There's all this cascade of things that can happen. So babies don't have that. They get it from mom. And if mom isn't secreting melatonin because she's up watching TV and thinking, well, I'm going to get bad sleep anyway, so why even try? Then baby's not getting melatonin, so baby's not going to sleep good, which means mom's going to continually not sleep good. So it's like a cycle of sleep death that you're never going to get. So it's like knowing, to me, it's like even more important to do these things when you know you're going to get bad sleep. Like for college students, you're not going to get great sleep. So set up your sleep environment to facilitate great sleep when you can sleep, and that way you're maximizing your sleep. And like you mentioned earlier, like if your head hits the pillow and you fall asleep and you wake up and you sleep 8 hours a day, like that doesn't necessarily mean you're getting good sleep. My indication is always like if you wake up in the morning or your alarm wakes you up and you have to like drag yourself out of bed and you have to go to great lengths of putting your alarm clock across the room to make yourself get up, and you're just like in the morning. Like you may not be getting, just because you fall asleep fast doesn't mean you're getting good sleep. And that's the part that we can kind of nerd out on. But so moms that are like nursing at night looking at their phones, that can be an issue. So I would just highly recommend, like when you're changing diapers, they have the little tea lights, the battery powered tea lights that you can get. Use those. Like your eyes will adjust to the darkness. Like there are things that you can do. So the little tea lights, those LED, battery powered candles are really good for night lights as well. Like if your kids are scared of the dark, we'll just put one of those little candle battery powered lights, just stock up on the little batteries, in case they go out, and just have those up on the dresser or in the room somewhere. So you've got but it's like a flickering orange light, just like a fire. Mm-hmm. So it's not disrupt the sleep pattern. Yeah. So what was the story in particular that Jen...
breastfeeding one? How she first maybe wasn't fully on board with the glasses and the lights, and she would look at her phone. Yeah. And as soon as she stopped all of that, your baby was able to sleep through the night, or at least sleep longer and not be up every couple hours.
And some of this, a lot of this, like as far as what I'm saying, it can be anecdotal. I mean, there are studies out there showing nursing moms that have looked for their phone X number of minutes per night, and then they stopped and they started wearing this. I don't think that study is out there. But if you just look at it from like, okay, what makes sense from like a human design? Yeah, like when I started all this, and was telling her about the orange lights and the changing the artificial light, she thought I was crazy. So I guess that leads into the orange glasses. So then I told her about these orange glasses. I started wearing them. She thought I was crazy. Then she was like so desperate that she tried the orange glasses, didn't look at her phone, and he slept for like 7 hours. And then she like has never gone back. So the orange glasses. So the 4 things that I will like tell people, okay, how do I get good sleep? Okay, here's the 4 things that I always tell people. So the first one is to try to be as consistent as you can. Try to go to bed within the same 30-minute window every night. You need consistency. That goes back to what we were talking about with that circadian rhythm, that cycle. You have a sleep cycle and a wake cycle, and those things need to be in harmony. Jet lag and sleeping from 3 a.m. to noon when you're not in sync with that circadian rhythm, like that's when those 2 things kind of get out of whack, and then the perfect synchrony is looks like this. So it's not good. So consistency when you can, and obviously it's just like with nutrition or movement or anything, like if there's going to be outliers where you're going to have a night where you're just going to be up till 2 a.m. or whatever, and that's fine. For the most part, consistency. Try to get into bed as early before midnight as possible, or think of that as soon after sunset as possible, which in the winter time is going to be pretty hard because it gets dark at 4 o'clock, so you're not going to bed at 5 o'clock, right? So that just goes back to what I was just saying. Like if you're going to bed at 2 a.m. and waking up at 10, I'm getting 8 hours of sleep. I don't understand what the problem is. Right, you're sleeping 8 hours, but you're supposed to be sleeping in this window, and you're sleeping in this window, right, instead. And so now the whole cycle is messed up. Like people that work the night shift, nurses, cops, firemen, all that, like they have higher instances of cancer and inflammation and stress, and all this stuff is off the charts because that's not when you're designed to sleep, right? That's kind of an extreme. So is early before midnight. So if you're going to bed at midnight right now, bed at 11:30 is an improvement, right? If it's 11:30, try to go to bed at 11. Just try. Now, if you're going to bed at 10 o'clock and waking up at 6 and you're feeling great, that's the thing about this. If you wake up and you feel great and you don't need coffee, like if you miss your coffee one day, it's like, oh, I didn't have my coffee this morning. Like if you're that kind of, then keep doing what you're doing, right? But if you wake up and you just wrecked, or it's like 3 in the afternoon and you're just like, huh? Right? If that's happening to you, like there's a little bit of that where you kind of your sleep drive will sort of start to kind of come up and rear its head, like kind of in the afternoon. And, you know, there's biology there. It's supposed to happen, but it's not supposed to just make you like, well, you can't even function, right? So there's the first two. The third is sleep in as cold, dark a room as possible, right? So your body temperature drops at night, right? Anybody ever tried to sleep in a hot room?
It's awful.
Isn't that the worst?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the worst. So is cold and then darkness. So like even if okay, I'm asleep. Well, if there's lights coming in from the window, or if your computer light is on, like I know, like for me, I sleep and like my eyes will like kind of half open when I'm in my REM sleep. If those light signals are getting into your eye, getting into your brain, that can disrupt your sleep. So like when I travel, I have a sleep mask, the Mindfold. You can get it on Amazon. I'll send you the link.
Oh yeah, the big black ones.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't go anywhere.
Yeah, we got them.
And I don't go anywhere without them, especially if you're traveling.
Yeah, we used them on the plane last time with earplugs.
Oh, so nice. And you like for naps, even if you ever have luxury of a nap, putting that thing on, it shuts out all light, and it's like, oh, it's so amazing. So Mindful is really important. Or if I travel, I'll take some like black electrical tape and like just tape up all TV and the hair dryer light. They're like, what do you need a light on the hair dryer?
I thought you were going to put the electrical tape over your eyes. But...
I'll do this, and then that's what being kidnapped is. That's what happens. And so cold and dark room as possible. And then the last thing is try to mitigate or eliminate all of the artificial white blue light that you can. And you can either go around and put like the F.Lux program on your computer. You can put a filter on your phone. Now, what has Apple done?
Yeah, how good is that? Is it? Cause
it's good, right?
It's good.
So the night vision or the night whatever it's called, it is good. I wouldn't just say that. Oh, okay, that's a free pass to just do whatever.
Yeah, look at your phone all night.
Right, but at least Apple has like validated like everything that I've been trying to tell people for the last few years.
Right.
When Apple validates you, then you know you're. Right. So there are filters you can buy for your TV. There are filters that you can put on all this stuff, or you can just put the filter here, right, at your eye. So that's where the glasses come in. And there's these welder safety glasses that I've tried spending $100 on the sleep glasses and all that. This
what
welder
about the Swannies one? They're like $89. They're supposed to be stylish. Are they good? Is like
I haven't actually ever tried those, so I can't speak to those. But the UVEX glasses that I've been wearing, that I've got, they're like $8-9.
Yeah, I've got them.
Yeah, like I've got some in the my wife and I like to watch shows after the kids go to bed. So now one thing, you can't just put those glasses on and keep all the lights on, right? Because there's the two things. It's not just about the color, it's about the brightness, right? Mm-hmm. So you need to turn the lights off, and if you can like dim your TV down a little bit with contrast.
Yeah, that's what we've done. Glasses plus dimming the TV.
Yeah, that can be very helpful. And you'll like, I can't go 10 minutes watching a show at like night, and I'm just like.
Yeah, I think it really helps set the mood, because what we didn't realize is we were going from complete brightness to complete darkness, because our room is completely black. And in shutting everything off, putting the glasses on, it's like getting your body ready to go to sleep, slowly there, then you're in a dark room, and then you fall asleep. Right. Instead of going from complete brightness to complete darkness.
Or like, shutting your laptop and then being like, well, I have insomnia, I can't sleep, I guess I got to take candy. Which like there's a lot of people do that, and they think that's their only thing, their only option. Right. The other thing, if you're married or have a significant other, if you're both wearing orange glasses, it makes it really hard to fight at night because you look ridiculous. Yes. So with the breastfeeding thing, she wore those glasses on, and then it kind of, is it a coincidence? Were there other factors? There may have been other factors, but it's just like dialing in all these different things. There's actually one thing that you can do to fix everything. It goes for anything. It's not like one exercise that you can do to be like a bodybuilder or something, or like one food that you can eat, or to be, like the magic pill kind of mindset. So it's a process of trying to get your sleep environment. And it's the thing, once you set it up, it's not like eating. You don't have to eat all different stuff. And okay, what am I eating? I'm at this restaurant now, and that can get kind of complicated. But the sleep, once you set up your sleep environment, it's set.
Yeah.
And it's done, and you don't have to think about it again, right? So it's just taking that and kind of getting used to that. that process. And oh, there's something else I was going to say.
Well, you nailed it at the very beginning when you really just mimic what the natural design is the best way possible.
Right.
You know, if you think about it logically, it makes perfect sense. Of course, look at modern day; it's just so different than what it was even 100 years ago. So, just mimic your great grandmother a little bit more, and you got it.
Yeah, you don't need to know, like I could go in and talk about the different stages of sleep and what's going on with your brain in each sleep and when, you know, like when bedwetting occurs, because that's a problem for me. I mean, to clean up, not me. I mean, I have the girls sometimes.
Right, sure. That's where you backtrack.
Yeah. So that's the whole thing. It's like trying to get back to kind of the way that our brain is designed to do it, and know that your brain is not going to function properly if it's out of that. Like the fact that people think that they can separate from like the natural cycles of life, like the 12 and a half hour moon cycle moves the ocean.
I mean, really.
Is there anything bigger on Earth than the ocean? Right? It's like, right? And so to think that like something that can move the ocean isn't going to like affect you in some way. I mean, you ask any teacher that you know, like, when are the kids crazy? Full moon, right? It's like a thing, right? Like, and that's why, like, that's where like the whole werewolf full moon thing was. They didn't just make that up. It's like, oh, full moon, werewolf. I mean, like, things happen differently.
That was a thing.
In a full moon, right? Yeah. So like, I mean, animals are more active in a full moon. Like especially for all the hunters out there, all hunters know that like it may not be a great hunting day after a really bright full moon in the morning, because all the animals are going to be out, and they're probably not going to be out in the morning. So if you want to go find animals, go out during the nighttime when they're all going to be active, right? So it's just having everything on at night and then looking at your phone. It's like the moth to the light. It's just like, I want to go to bed, but it's just like you're just stimulated by the light.
Mm-hmm.
Your brain just cannot shut off. So that's kind of the basic stuff. Remembering those 4 things. The orange glasses. So my like never go without when I travel, or if I'm going to be away from my sleep environment. There's my sleep mask, my orange glasses. I don't go anywhere without those. Magnesium at night can be good for people. I went through a period a couple months ago where I couldn't sleep. Like, I was having all sorts of sleep issues, and I'm like the sleep guy. Like, I know what to do. Like, I had like my Buddha board, and I was like meditating, and like in the middle of the night, I either couldn't go to bed at like 3:30 because I was just so overly stressed about a bunch of different stuff. But like, I couldn't go to bed at like 3:30, or I would wake up at like 2 o'clock and then just be up and like not be able to go back to sleep. But
that's
I mean,
the other thing. When you wake up, try not to look at your phone. Try not to look at your clock. Try to.
Don't look at the clock. Like, that's the worst thing you can do. Is like, then you I only have only 3 hours of sleep left if I can't go to sleep right now. Like, that can mess you up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just thinking like, well, I'm up, I might as well turn all the lights on. Like, don't do that. Like, think about it. Like there's something called biphasic sleeping, and a lot of people think that before electricity, that's kind of how it happened, because you get drowsy and sleepy and you go to bed at like 7 o'clock and you sleep till like midnight or something, and then you wake up and you're up for like 2 hours, but there's no electricity to turn on. So then people would like go back to sleep from 2 to 6, and they'd be up with the sun and start working. So they're still getting 8 hours of sleep in there. Mm-hmm. 2 different phases. The problem trying to do that now is that people would get up and like watch a movie or something, then you're never going to go back to sleep. And so if you wake up in the middle of the night, like meditate. That Buddha board I mentioned is a cool thing. It's like you get just water on a brush and you paint something, and then it just like dries, and it's a clean canvas, and you start over. So you're like focusing on just that, and then it's gone, and you just keep going. So there's that. There's meditation. You can. I remember what I was to say about like how people like, well, I take a warm bath at night. I'm talking about the body temperature. So taking a warm bath at night can be a short warm bath can be good because it can relax your muscles. And then when you get out of a hot bath, why doesn't anyone ever want to get out of a hot shower or a hot bath? Because it's so cold, right? So that can kind of help you drop your body temperature. Now, if you stay in there for an hour and your body temperature is just so high that little counter acting thing isn't going to work. It's not going to. So like that's why working out at night isn't ideal because your body temperature raises. Right? Anybody tried to work out really intense workout late at night, and I need to wind down. Right? Like everybody knows they need to wind down. Like I used to work for a TV station. I get home at 11:30, and I couldn't just go to sleep. I had to wind down. Like that's a thing. People inherently know that. It is just hard though when your habits are to check email and to look at my phone and to I'm on Snapchat or Instagram or whatever it is. That's your habit. So now it's more of a like it's important. You know what you need to do, but you just now it's just a conscious decision of prioritizing. And then there's a whole other topic about how to change those habits and what you can do to make your brain start, doing healthy things as it's automatic. So anyway, what else? What did I know?
That's great, man. Yeah, I mean, people just need to hear it out of someone else's mouth besides ours.
Yeah, and and kids, with naps and everything, like make your kids take a nap until they either take a nap and then they can't go to sleep at night, or they just will not fall asleep in the afternoon whenever there is their nap time. Then it's time, and like get your kids to bed, like especially if they're in school and they have these early start times. Like I'm waking my daughters up to get to school. We're set 6:50, 7 a.m. Like if you're going to bed at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and if your kids are yawning in the morning, like or you go eat with them at lunch or something and they're yawning at lunch, like that is terrible. Like I go up and volunteer at my daughter's school, and like I'm sitting up there in the morning and I'm watching kids that are yawning like at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. That is just not good. Like, every once in a while, if they're sick or something's happened and you had to be out late and get home or whatever, like single parents, sometimes there is no other option and to go shopping late at night, whatever. Like I get all that. But for the most part, like kids that don't get good sleep, it's just, you're setting them up for failure. I mean, they're not going to eat what they're supposed to eat. They're not going to, that's when they grow. That's when their brains develop. That's when all that stuff happens. And if they're not getting that full allotment that their body needs, they're just starting off behind.
And you're building great habits for their future. I mean, get them used to that now, because it's not getting any dimmer out in the here in this country.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when they, now when they're older, now when they go to college and if they're living in a dorm or something, they're not going to go to every, can everyone turn the lights on?
And wear the glasses out.
Hey man, it could be a cooler party than we're used to.
Yeah, my dad has funded the glasses. But within a dorm.
But you could plant the seed, because I always tell parents, it's like, okay, your teenager might not listen to you, they might think you're crazy and they won't wear the glasses, but then 10 years from now, when they're having trouble sleeping, like, well, maybe it's because I'm looking at my phone. My mom brought that up 10 years ago. Maybe I should look into this. So at least planting the seed so they do have an answer later on in life.
And it's just like with food. Like right now, like if I ate an entire pizza and a 6-pack of beer, I would feel terrible, right? Like just because my body like isn't used to that right now. I mean, so like same thing. Like if you're like, oh, I'm gonna stay up until 3 o'clock, go to a movie, and then we're gonna go out, and then the next morning you feel like total dog crap. Like that. There'll start to be that memory bookmark, and then it's like, man, I'm not gonna look at anything tonight. I need good sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just that's knowledge is power, right? Like we need to know what it is, and once you know what to do, you know what you're doing. I mean, you can cross a highway, but at least you have your blindfold off. At least you can see. You're doing something dangerous. At least you can see. But speaking of that, can y'all see through that window? See that building through that window?
Uh-huh.
Like a 20-story building. I am rappelling off of that building on October 1st, and I'm terrified.
Why would you do that?
Why?
It's a fundraiser, a Big Brothers Big Sisters fundraiser. There's this company that comes out and if you raise a certain amount of money for the organization here, so it's like right outside my window. So I'm just looking
Every
at
day it's a reminder.
I can't. Oh, I'm gonna throw up. So well, look, here's somebody coming down. Well, no, they're lowering a sack of potatoes. Just I'm just gonna be passed out. Like, look, Mark his pants were white, now they're brown. I don't understand what happened. So, edit that out.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, yeah, I'd love
This
to
is
do more of
perfect.
this.
I wanted tips for our clients and people who follow Enhancing Life to things that they can do. It doesn't have to be, sleep doesn't mean just 8 hours of sleep. And if you can't get your 8 hours, that is okay. But at least you can make it better. And there's a lot of stuff that you can do to make it better.
Yeah, and anybody needs to reach out to me. Email is just simplyhumanlifestyle@gmail.com.
Yeah, I'll attach all that.
There's other, like naps are great, things to eat, things not to eat. There's all sorts of crazy stuff that we can nerd out on. So thanks for letting me do this.
No, we'll have to have you again.
Miss you, buddy.
I miss you.
So I'll stop the recording. Hang on.
All right.
But thank you.
Bye.